ahead and get started talking a little bit about business travel and family obligations. I'm going to take a little bit different spin. I think for, hey Larry, thanks for the positive comments. I think for a lot of people when they think travel, business travel, family obligations, they think people with children. Well, I am divorced, no children, so I won't be talking about it from that perspective. I'll be talking about it from the perspective of if you have anyone in your life that loves you and wants to spend time with you, your business travel is potentially affecting their relationship. So if you think about in the 40s and the 50s, you would watch a movie and the dad was about to go off to travel and his wife would have packed his suitcase and he kisses the family goodbye and cheerfully leaves on business. Mom holds down the front, dad earned the money on the road, and everybody lived happily ever after. Hey, Kira. Except for in the real world, they don't. It seems like something happens, there's some emergency, the person who's left at home is frustrated that they're having to deal with that emergency alone. You're having jet lag, 14-hour plus days, and it's just cranky children. It's just a lot different than the way that it looks on television. So again, just want to reiterate that this is not an issue just for parents and for children. It can be a very difficult time trying to connect with your friends when you're traveling. If you have parents that live in the same city where you live, if you're in a relationship, that person wants to spend time with them, you want to spend time with them as well. They want to spend time with you. So this is for basically everyone, all the homies. So I think the most important thing when you're having business travel is communication and making sure that everybody knows, A, that the travel is going to be occurring. We're going to assume that this is not an emergency trip, that this is a trip that has been scheduled in advance, a conference or a trip that you know that is happening a few weeks in advance, that type of thing. And so the way that my dad, just a reminder for you guys a little bit about my background, my father is a retired colonel in the Air Force. And hey, Dad. And he traveled quite a bit. And there were 3 children, me, my twin sister, Demetra, and our younger brother, Demetra. And then, of course, my mom was the CEO of our household. And we, each of the 3 kids, played 3 sports. We were in the band or we were in the choir, plus we were active in our church. And so as you would imagine, that made for a very, very busy schedule in the Liggins household. So we had a physical calendar in our kitchen that hung on the back of the pantry wall. And my mom had a rule that basically said, if it's not on the calendar, it does not exist. So I hear of kids showing up at 7:08 on a Sunday night and saying, oh, I forgot to tell you that we've got this field trip tomorrow or what have you. That would not happen in the Liggins household. You just would not go because it was not on the calendar. I say that to say a physical calendar can be a very powerful tool, especially for those of you who have homies that have loved ones that you live with. I still keep a physical calendar as well. And it really helps me take a look at my entire week instead of just the 1 hour or the 2 hour time slot that I'm taking a look at. Hey, Jillian. Hey, Sora. And so I think a physical calendar is really, really important. It goes a long way. And the kitchen, I think, is the favorite place because everyone is going to go to the kitchen 3 to 4 times a day or more in the household. So first thing is everybody has to know about it. So you get some type of, hey, Uncle Gregory, love you too. Hey, Tracy. So the first thing you got to do is have some kind of tool where everyone can communicate, everyone can see, and there's no miscommunication about I didn't know this, I didn't know that type of thing. Hey, Stella girl. Hey, Dee. So that's the first thing I would do is get something that everyone can see. Also, this is something that I had to learn being in a relationship is that when you're traveling, people like to know minor details like where are you going to be staying. I'd never thought about doing that before because I've been single and traveling so long. So now I would say, let your loved ones know where you're staying, which co-workers you're traveling with. Hey, Ebony. Hey, Lisa Pagnata. Hey, Sharonda. So I would say let people know where you're traveling, where you're staying, who in your co-workers you're going to be traveling with, and most importantly, what does your agenda look like while you're traveling? Are you going to be in meetings that start at 7 o'clock in the morning and then receptions in the evening? Because if you are, you're going to have to allot and account for time to touch base with your loved ones while you're gone. The most important thing that you can do, and it sounds pretty basic, is do what you say you're going to do. Hey, Kim, what's up? Welcome back from Detroit. So do what you say you're going to do. So if you say you're going to call your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your soror, and you say you're going to call them at 6:30, then you need to step out and call at 6:30, or you need to send a text saying, I'm running a few minutes behind, because you want to remember they have a life too. They have their own schedule. And if you said that you're going to call at that time, they have probably changed some things around or allowed it for some free time during that time to talk to you. And it's just rude not to do what you say you're going to do. So that's tool number one. Do what you say you're going to do. Call when you say you're going to do. If you have to, sound corny, set a timer that says call bae, call sweetheart, call your sorority sister, or whoever it is that you promised that you were going to do. The second thing I would say is prepare everything in advance. I don't have kids, so I don't know anything together, any diaper bags or soccer cleats, anything like that. But for me, that means putting together clothes, my snacks. I'm in this Kind Bar fan right now, love them, especially the ones that taste like paydays. FYI, those are delightful. I would suggest that you do those things. The other thing that I would say is make sure they know when you are going to be back. Sometimes, particularly for those of us who are, I would say, set in our business single ways, you have a significant other that's trying to be considerate, i.e., let me take you to the airport. But a lot of times that actually doesn't help you, because when you're coming back from travel, you have something else that you need to do. And now you're going to have to go get your car, and you don't want to be a jerk saying, hey, don't take me to the airport. I'm going to take myself because I'm going to have 18 other things to do that's more important to you when I hit the ground running. That's what they hear, whether that's what you're actually saying or not. So you're going to have to learn to be a little bit more flexible. Make sure they know when you're coming back, and then, if it makes sense. Try to do some things together so that when you're gone, it still feels like you are together. Hey, Tawana, I know you travel a lot. Hey, girl. So I would say things that you can do to stay connected while you're gone outside of normal use of technology, such as FaceTime or Skype, is texting throughout the day. I personally find that people like consideration. I have this phrase that everybody likes to feel special, and every woman likes to get flowers on a no reason Wednesday. And I think that that same thing holds true for your loved ones, whether it be for your children, your friends, your sorority sisters, your fraternity brothers, whoever it is that you're trying to stay connected with. So sending a postcard from where you are can go a long way. Leaving a note in their leaving notes around the house in places that that they will find are ways to stay connected. And then also separate but together activities. A la, if you're training for a 5K together, that's not my ministry. I'm not a runner, but you can choose to watch a Netflix series together so that when you get back, you have something to discuss that's still a together activity. Or choosing a book that you're going to read and you're going to discuss, do you like it? Hey, Caitlin, do you like it? Do you not like the book? What did you find about it? That type of thing. Other ways that you can stay engaged, obviously, I'm sure most of you guys do this, is, like I said, the normal FaceTime, Skype. There's always opportunity sometimes to have your loved ones participate with you in the business travel. I've had some personal success in doing that. where I have a work trip that I have to take. Maybe that's going to be on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You could take that Friday off and invite, your friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your kids to join you. A lot of times you'd be surprised that your organizations or your companies don't have an issue with that because Saturday travel is cheaper. And so you get better rates on airfares and things like that than you can traveling on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or during the business week. Always don't underestimate the importance of gifts, especially for kids. People love gifts. They love, it doesn't matter what it is. They like the thoughtfulness behind it. And then if you have certain places that you travel to regularly, it's nice to show that to your friend or loved one that can join you on the trip. Here's somewhere that I go all the time. That's the building that I'm working in. Here's some of the fun things to do in this city. I like to bring back things or share things with people. So if I'm going to Memphis, my hometown, maybe I want to bring back some barbecue sauce. Or if I'm going to Carolina, they think they have good barbecue too. Sorry, Jeff. Sorry, Jonathan. I'm a Memphis barbecue snob. But the things like that are things that you can bring back to show, hey, this was one of Oprah's favorite things in this particular city that I went to, or this is Chicago popcorn. And, maybe your spouse or your friend or your mom or your cousin has never been to Chicago and they've never had the Chicago mix and they've never had Garrett's popcorn. So things like that can be good. The other thing that I would say is outsource any task that you can. I love Amazon. I don't know what I did before Amazon Prime. Basically, something comes to my house every day from Amazon. I open up the boxes and act as if I did not order it and get excited like, oh my God, I always wanted that, even though I'm the one who actually ordered it. So I would say I actually only shop in person for things that are perishable. Everything else I buy via Amazon Prime. Every single thing else I buy, whether that be paper towels, laundry detergent, water, well, when I had a dog food, and Subscribe and Save actually allows you to get on a schedule where you can have it come, every so often as you come. Hey, Alana. So Amazon Prime is a big one. You also got the Ship, which is, and now Publix allows for a shopper to buy your groceries. Blue Apron is another good one. And we'll put together a list for all of this. Hey, Ashley, of different things that you can do. Now, we talked a little bit about that. Don't forget about helping your family out. This is back to that consideration thing. Uber Eats is now allows for basically food delivery service. So when you're traveling and hey Prince, what's popping? So when you're traveling and you talk to your husband and he can't find the iron and he can't find the kids' soccer cleats, why not send an Uber Eats meal that evening to make his life a little bit easier, or make her life a little bit easier? Hey, Gabby from Korea. Hey. And then those things can, again, not only can it save the day in terms of making a horrible day be not so bad, but it takes one less thing off the other person's desk, and you don't have to say, hey, I did something nice for you. They'll remember that you're thinking about all the goings on at home while you're gone that need to be taken care of. Hey, Shannon. Demetra, Dee makes a good point. She says she's overstocked on detergent now. It takes some time to get your system together, Daryl, on Amazon. At one point, I had so much detergent, so much Febreze and Glad bags, I took them to a domestic violence shelter because I knew I was never going to get through all that with just myself. But now I've gotten into my rhythm and it's all good. But that's a great point that Demetra makes. So Amazon Prime, technology, Instacart, Blue Apron, all those shopping things, Uber Eats. But the most important person in my life is Carmen, my cleaning lady. All right. I love her. We are never breaking up. We are never getting divorced. She's everything. And I have gotten her to a point now where she will clean out the refrigerator. When I had a dog, she would walk scout. She was all of that. So if you don't have a Carmen, get you a Carmen. I will be more than happy to recommend her for my Tampa folks that are on. Hey, Sora Tanya, thanks for joining. But Carmen does change your life. Anything that you can afford to pay for outsourced help, it is your friend. You want to do that. Word to Wana on the cleaning lady. You definitely want to do that. Sometimes I come home after I've been traveling and I just like to eat sliced peaches on my couch and drink my cold water because everything's been delivered from Amazon and the house is clean. So it is absolute goodness. So, yeah, Shannon, you got to have a cleaning lady. Also, don't be afraid to commit to things. So, I am all about loyalty. So, I use my Amex, my Delta Silver Amex for everything. I basically do not use my debit card unless they do not take Amex. Hey, Lisa Demi. And I do that so that I can pass the perks back on to people who travel with me personally. So then if we are going to go on a trip, wherever that may be, personally, maybe I can get us upgraded to first class because I have so many Sky Miles because of all the traveling that you've been doing. So you want to be able to use your travel and your miles and your purse to give back. The only way you can do that is if you commit to a particular thing. And I've heard a lot of my friends and a lot of the homies that travel say this. So you want to pick like a hotel chain. It doesn't mean that you always stay at the Marriott, but it means that you always stay at the Marriott family of hotels, or you always stay at the IHG or whatever that may be. So for me, that looks like Delta Airlines. If you see me on, hey Aaron Abel, if you see me on a different airline, it's because it just doesn't make sense for me to use Delta. But if you commit to a hotel chain, if you commit to airline and you commit to a rental car company, you can pass those points on, and you'd be surprised you can get upgrades that you can use with your family, and then now everybody is winning on the business on the business travel, and not just you. This is probably the most important tip. Hey Alex, I see you play golf today without me, but I'm not going to hold that against you. This is probably the most important part of any kind of business travel. You cannot post on social media as if you are having the time of your life while your loved ones are at home without you. So I had a friend of mine tell me one time, hey Bobby, my favorite boss, how are you? So I had a friend of mine tell me one time, we all were having brunch, and when she was leaving, she had to leave the brunch early. She said, don't y'all be having fun without me. And I will remind you that when you're business traveling, even though it doesn't necessarily be, it is not necessarily fun for you, but it can look like fun to someone who's at home and quote unquote left behind. So you don't want to be mindful of your social media presence while you're traveling and how that looks to your loved ones. And what I mean by that is it doesn't look like fun if you have somebody that's sitting at home that never travels and you're posting lobster dinners at the Ritz-Carlton and they think that you're living it up without them. You may be doing that, but don't post that is what I'm saying. I don't think you want to do that and come home and then you have like angry people angry people thinking that you like kicked it hard without them. So I would say be very mindful of the way, I'm not saying be dishonest, but be very mindful of your social media presence while you are traveling. So these are just some of the things that I do. Again, I want to hit some of the highlights. We're all guilty of that, Bobby. Don't worry. We've all done it, and we've gotten fussed at. So hence the tip. I want to kind of circle back on a couple of the tips that I said, and here are a couple ones I want to hit on. One, communication. Physical physical calendar, particularly for those of you homies that live with your loved ones, so that people know what's going on. I would strongly encourage you to follow the Carolyn Liggins rule. That's my mama, that if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen, and so that you don't end up in all these emergencies that you had no idea that these events were occurring. So that would be the first thing that I would say. The second thing, and this is in no particular order, technology is your friend. You want to use as much delivery services. We talked about Trip app. We talked about Life Hack. We talked about Amazon Prime. Deborah mentioned flight tracker. We talked about Instacart, Uber Eats, and also, again, having a cleaning lady, having help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. Hey, Liz. The third thing that I wanted to remind you that I thought was important is to share your perks back with your family. Hey, Jess, tough loss for the Bucks today. You want to make sure that if you commit to having loyalty to an airline, whether that be Delta, a hotel, that when you're traveling, your loved ones can enjoy some of the upgrades and the fruits of your labor. Hey, Ed, that you can pass along to them. And everybody likes to be upgraded and to go to the Sky Club and eat oatmeal and drink champagne or whatever it is that your family is into. The other tip that I wanted to circle back on is staying present while you're gone, making sure that you're finding ways to connect with your family. We talked about sending postcards. We talked about if it makes sense to allow for family to tag along on the front end or the back end of the trip, leaving notes. Again, just want to remind you of those small things you can do to be considerate while you're traveling. Like we talked about, again, just to remind for those folks who joined a little late, if you talk to your spouse or your significant other or what have you, hey, Roger Saldi, thanks for joining. Then you can, send an Uber Eats meal to lighten their day, or have something that happen, something that you can do to make things a little bit easier for them. Hey, Akash. So I wanted to circle back on that. Again, this is the second Corporate Homie chat. Demetra and I, my twin sister, this is our company, Corporate Homie. You can find us on the internet at www.corporatehomie, and that's HOMIE.com. And basically, we're the same on all social media, whether that be Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, what have you. We'll be doing these periodically, so I hope that there were some tips tonight that you guys found helpful. The last thing that I would say is happy Halloween, homies, and thank you for joining.